obviously you'd have to address is maintenance of the pool. We thought maybe the robotics would be together and building something there. Clean it automatically.
It could be one of our projects. It's a great idea. Thank you.
See, they're thinking about adding water into there. So.
Did Mr. Ladd discuss any of the concerns in terms of insurance being added to the?
He did. He couldn't give us an exact number because we would have to contact the insurance agency. He said he would try to get us a number, but I don't think it reached us in time. But he did say that it would increase dramatically, and having a diving well would increase it even more, so we decided to take that out for our final time.
I was wondering if you kept the windows like you planned before, how are you going to heat it before there's a
I didn't really think about it too much, but we would obviously have a normal heating system.
Just use it a lot.
Yeah, it would just be used more than usual, unfortunately.
Is primarily winter that's a concern because in the summer it kind of acts as like a greenhouse during the warm months.
Yeah, because the sun would heat it during the summer, it's just the winter where it'd be.
But we also have solar panels.
Yeah.
So it could. Morgan,
how long do you think it would take to build?
A really long time. I don't think that we will be here to see this project be completed because it takes a lot of planning, and like we said, Westover doesn't currently have an architectural firm, and so there would have to be like a lot of steps before we could just start like breaking ground. So I think it would be a significant amount of time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Masazera. I am the junior boarder from Kigali, Uganda.
Hi, I'm Jillian Buckley, and I am a junior boarder from Middlebury, Connecticut.
I'm Olivia Pash, and I'm a junior day student from Middlebury, Connecticut. For our final project in EDP, we decided to redesign the WISE lab, hence the name WISE. Yeah.
So, as Ben and Jonna mentioned before, we as a group came up with at least, I think, about 100 ideas, problems or things in general that we thought needed solutions. These things range from everything to like modifying vending machines, improving alarm clocks, so that the user could only hear the alarm clock and not disrupt others. TV remotes that get lost, and then
We also looked into problems that involved the Westover community. We looked into the possibility of improving on a previous EDB project and putting a bathroom into where the lacrosse field is. We were also looking upon the traffic in Chapel Circle, which tends to be confusing for strangers and congested for all.
So why did we choose to redesign the WISE lab? Well, Westover, as you can see, advertises the WISE program as a signature program and often stresses its presence when encouraging prospective students to visit or to come to the school. Yet we, as third-year WISE students, found that the lab itself doesn't reflect the potential nor the significance of the program. So
this leads to our problem statement, which is in summary talking about how the WISE Lab is not really living to its potential, and it's disorganization, and inefficiency.
So these are some pictures from the current WISE lab. This is the bell that we rely on for finding and leaving. And right there, if you look carefully, there's a glove in there. Because without the glove, it's very loud and very destructive, but even with the glove, it's kind of hard to hear. There tends to be a lot of things lying around in the WISE lab, weird, dangerous things. So we're hoping that by reorganizing and redesigning the WISE lab, we'll have a good organized structure. Again, with some of the more disorganized areas. Yeah, this is the wall area in the WISE lab, which I don't know how well you can see it. But it's not very sanitary, and we were hoping that by changing and redesigning, we'll be able to have a more aesthetically pleasing WISE lab as well.
So to sum our mission statement, in other words, it's to our desired outcome in the redesign. We can desire to create a clean and organized space with all the amenities with the WISE courses that can take the advantage of, basically.
So before we researched the redesign in depth, we wanted to get the current WISE students' opinions so that we could further look into the problems that we think were posed. So one of the questions we asked was, did you see the WISE lab on your tour of Westover? And 61% of people said no, which I thought was interesting. We thought was interesting. And do you go to the WISE lab outside of WISE class or for studying purposes? 88% said no as well. So when we asked you all to rate the WISE lab by labeling the different aspects of the lab as either outstanding, neutral, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, etc., only 4% rated the WISE lab as outstanding for construction time. Another 4% rated it outstanding on organization, and 8% on outstanding for instruction time, and 6% for its overall appearance. So we figure basically anything that's not outstanding can be improved upon. Further, when we looked at the comment section of the lab, of the survey, the lab was labeled as, and I quote, gross, like a dungeon, and UGLY, it ain't got no alibi. Yes, so, thank you for that. Essentially, our data just it further augments the mediocrity of the lab and its need for improvement.
So after taking all of this into consideration, we proposed 3 alternate solutions in which we basically redesigned the WISE lab 3 times, modifying it slightly different each time.
In each of our models that you'll see, we started with just the basic skeleton of the WISE lab. So we gutted everything out of it, which includes the cabinets, the countertops, the uneven flooring, anything else, and we just stuck with the outline itself of the room, and that's just a different view.
So I looked into furniture to add to the new WISE lab that would be used in all versions of the WISE lab. And in all the options I looked into, I tried to find ways that we could use them and be more flexible in the structure of the WISE lab. I looked into chairs, which is it's problematic for the WISE lab. We didn't get any pictures of it, but they're stacked randomly and it's not very safe. So these chairs that I looked into, they are stackable. They're rolly chairs, which is fun and good for moving. They're also very sturdy and durable, but they're also easy to move, so that would add to what we're hoping to achieve I also got rid of all the countertops, which cause a lot of space, they take up a lot of space, and instead putting in tables that are easy to clean and easy to move. I put in big cabinets in the back area that would be able to hold some tools such as saws and hammers, which aren't exactly safe to be lying around for us or for them. And we were also looking to add sinks into the WISE Lab to allow some of the electives that require sinks to be able to live there. My solution was to modify and keep the basic skeleton of the WISE Lab. So I was thinking of having a classroom area in the side area of the WISE Lab that is a set area for instruction time for classes. And then we would have a full-size robotics arena for the Robotics 1 intro class as well as the Robotics Club to practice on. And then, like I said, we get rid of all the counter space and just use that for construction area to improve on the ability to make things. That's another view. So some pros in my solution is that it'd be the least expensive because we're not knocking down any walls, we're just keeping the basic structure. And it also allows to have a designated classroom area, which is what we wanted for organization. Some cons are that it does limit space because we're not adding anything, we're keeping what we have. So the classroom space would be limited and the construction space would be limited.
So my solution was the most extravagant of the three. So basically I'm knocking down 2 walls and there was a wall here and so this was the north wall and then here it had the east wall, it's basically the east wall and it's pushed back that way. And basically we have, just like Joe's, we have the robotics field on this side. You have a storage for all the tools like drills and screws and other stuff like that. And then we have the smart board, and also we have a classroom. And because of the number of WISE 1 students, we would have to be at least, because it's an average of 22 students, so it would have a big space for the WISE 1 and have enough chairs for everyone. So the pros of this is basically extending the working space area, and then it's a versatile area with a robotics field, all kinds of things like that, and it's more room for storage. And the cons, of course, it's the most expensive, and it's basically most costly, and then it would take a very long time with all the knocking down the walls and stuff like that.
My solution was the chosen solution, and it's basically a compromise of Jill's and Nicole's. So it would be knocking down the north wall only, and so this would be the multi-purpose work area, and there would be room for cabinets and counter and storage. This would be a little computer lab area. This would be a classroom with a smart board, possibly a sink area, and then if need be, if you needed more room for work, you could put the chairs and stack them up over here and use this for work area as well. Yeah. So the pros of this is that one large unified space and you're not going to have the separation like our first solution did, and also it's a removable classroom area, like I said, about the stacking of the chairs. Also the cons would be you'd have to take into consideration the structural support that the north wall gives. And obviously the demolition of that wall would be costly. And because I added the computer lab area, we wouldn't have room for a permanent robotics field, so that would have to be temporary. But that's the current system for robotics, so we could just move that in and out.
So when we were doing research for this, we looked into the different WISE courses that use the space. and what we could add to increase some of the technologies we use.
The current technology in the lab itself are desktop Macs, which aren't pictured, and this printer, those two desktops that aren't used at all, and an awkwardly placed smartboard, plus some work tools that you saw in previous pictures.
So taking into consideration the needs of the courses and the potential of the program, we came up with a list of technological amenities that would prove to be beneficial to the program. And basically we'd have iPods and iPads for mobile apps, but Kate David told me it wasn't needed, so I was like, okay, we're trying to improve here. And then I'm just kidding. And then we have the forensic kits, and then for the forensics class, laser cutters would be pretty cool too. Rocket launchers for the projectiles elective, and then more outlets, very important, and maybe speakers, a WISE printer, and then we'll be moving the recent 3D printer into the WISE lab, and then so additional Macs and more 3D printers, and then mechanical saws. And there was this crazy idea of having like a color-coded door to get into the WISE lab, so you'd have to know a certain color code to get into, so you'd like, it would be like, beep, boop. So, yeah. So future WISE courses would be a wood shop, and then a graphic design, like one-on-one graphic design course, a 3D printing course, like how to use it properly, not just, and then a video game programming class, that would be pretty cool, and a veterinary class would also be good. Yeah.
Well, before we wanted to go into what's next, we just wanted to say that we really think this is the best next step for the program, and we think it would be a really, really good idea and beneficial toward the future of Westover and the WISE program itself.
Moving forward in our project, we would have to go into further research to see about knocking down walls, if that's okay, into other furniture costs. We have to look into costs because that was very hard for us to estimate, and we would also need to have the support and approval of the school, the students, the WISE students, and the people with the money.
The optimal next step would be the actual pursuit of the design. If this were to happen, of course, Westover would be able to incorporate the advertisement of the program into interviews, brochures, and many more things to really sell the program for other students to come.
A special thank you to Ben and Jonna, and also Kate Savitt, our class, and all of you as WISE students.
Wow. Grab your head first. Would you be doing anything about the closet with the asbestos sign on it?
No. Probably not.
Okay, so there's an exposed pipe on the floor. And a lot of people, including me, but it's not just me, have tripped over said pipe. How would you solve this problem of this exposure?
We were hoping, pipe on the floor, we're hoping that either we can remove it or we would try to get, when we're redoing the floor, we'd be able to go over it so that it would be nice and level. Yeah.
So a couple of things. One is you guys talked about circular saws and laser cutters, but something to think about that's more simple is, I kid you not, I once spent 30 minutes looking for a screwdriver in the WISE lab and I couldn't find one. So things like that, the basic things, maybe having an area that's specifically set for tools to like handle?
Yeah, we have a area in the back that we're planning on folding tools, such big and small.
And
So.
then another thing is, safety is a huge thing. Just ventilation there is really, really bad. So doing things like soldering, which is a fire hazard, but even in the WISE lab, the ventilation and things like that, and a lot of the tools you were speaking about getting would require training, like a laser cutter, circular saws would require training, lots of safety precautions, and I don't know what the insurance on that would be. So that's another thing to think about.
It's definitely something we'll look into, but that's why we would have those classes. We can learn how to use those whole materials. That's general.
So two things actually. One, where space is an issue, instead of having so many items in the cabinet, maybe having pegboards so that you can put some of the tools up on the wall and it doesn't take up as much floor space. And second, you could approach companies like Apple or Microsoft, and they would probably help fund and actually would probably donate most of the technology and even help you build that room.
Because she works in that now.
Will there be any improvements for the storage room or like the bell, because it wasn't mentioned?
We mentioned it in one of our problems. It's definitely something, a detail that we want to improve on, but when we were designing basic structure, we didn't think that we should improve it, but it's definitely something we want to change.
Is there any possibility to put those two columns in the middle of the white slab, like two big columns?
Yeah, that is crucial to the structure of the Westover building, so we're going to see those.
In your brainstorming session, I mean, you focused on regional ways of renovating the current structure. Did you guys discuss looking at a different location on campus or building a new location? Was that a part of your discussion?
Yes, we did discuss that. We thought it would be best to just modify the area as it is right now for cost and just,
It's part of the Westover building,
Yeah.
so it's just easier to get to as well.
Did you do any research or perhaps know offhand how many students actually accept admission to Westover because of WISE?
It was one of our survey questions. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but a good percentage of people said that it was an aspect they took into consideration or a reason why they came.
How would you make room for the electives you wanted to make, like wood shop and graphic design? Like, you have to get teachers and make room for that inside the WISE lab? So how would you make room for that?
I mean, they wouldn't happen at the same time, kind of, like, you'd have, like, one term, you'd have just how everything's broken up, like, you have the graphics design maybe in fall term, and then the wood shop in winter term, and then other things like that. And then work around the space we have.
Would you have to hire new teachers though to teach them?
Yes, actually.
Possibly. It's something that if people are interested in them, then that we can take that into consideration to better improve the WISE program.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There's storage underneath, next to my lab, I think. What's there? Can you like push some of the stuff back?
Are you talking about the maintenance? Where
Yes.
they keep stuff?
I believe so.
That was our control station.
Oh.
The east wall, is that the?
The one facing the field and has like this little door that you.
Okay.
That's
Yes, that,
That's close.
exactly, so,
Piles of old computers.
and then basically, so you said that, why are we, what was the question, please repeat the question?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that you were pushing the wall out, so that's the wall that you.
Yes, that is the wall that we are working with. Yes.
Okay. Did you ever find out what happened with that wall weirdness thing and how you're gonna prevent it from happening to the wall?
We didn't find out the exact reason, but we're guessing that has to do with the building being over 100 years old. And it is also very humid and negligent, so by redoing it and keeping the space up and keeping it clean, I think that would be helpful to prevent that from happening in the future.
I have a suggestion for Lay's problem. So she was talking about how you need training to use tools, but every Y student is required to go through at least 2 courses of like intro to Y. So I think that could possibly be a solution. Like maybe if the people who don't take structural engineering or take robotics could use the tools then, and then the people who take structural engineering.
Once again, can we really rely on Westover's architecture? I mean, there are people living technically above the Y slab, and I don't want them to suddenly to the first floor. I mean, can we really rely on a 100-year-old architecture to stay stable throughout the process of knocking down 2 walls, 1 wall?
Yes, that is definitely a possibility.
Okay, we would now like to present the WISE graduation certificates to our 7 seniors. Gabby Di Bartolomeo. Lexi Fielding. Charlotte Iwasaki. Erica Malapa Trentelange. Caitlin O'Reilly. Claire Penenwalk. And Vicky Russo, who could not be here tonight. We are also again proud to present the Sally Ingersoll Fox Award, which is given each year to a senior in WISE who has shown dedication to the program and who has produced an outstanding culminating project.
So first, this class happens to be the class that Ben and I started with, so we were kind of freshmen together, which is cool. And they all did some amazing work over the course of their time in their electives, and really the decision for us in terms of the award here was based primarily then on the culminating project, this engineering design project that you just heard from everyone. And the students that did this project really, they really delved deep. They did a lot of research. They were very creative in the solutions with which that they developed over the course of their time in EDP last year. And it was really a wonderful project, and we enjoyed hearing about that, working with them throughout the process.
And so we have 2 winners, Lexi Fielding and Charlotte Iwasaki.
Underclassmen, if you could quietly return to study hall. Everybody, please help yourselves to food, and thank you so much. Juniors and seniors, state reports. This is Ben Hildebrand and John Dunbar, and they will give you a little bit more information about the EDPs.
So Ben and I teach the engineering design project class together, and just wanted to talk briefly about some of the steps that they've gone through, and they're going to elaborate way more about this when you hear from these groups. some of the steps that they went through in this process is first just generating ideas, lots and lots of ideas. And once they chose it, they really needed to start working at doing a lot of research to really understand the problem that they were attempting to solve. That might have involved interviews, it certainly involved research of the literature. And then once they started to get a better handle on the problem, then it involved digging deeper, really getting into what are some of the possible solutions, what is out there now, what can we do to improve upon what's there now, and what really excites us about the project that we chose. These groups all chose some really wonderful projects, and I think that you're gonna like what you see from them.
So I'm gonna just throw out a few of the things that they came up with over the course of the first couple weeks of the class. They just have to come up with ideas that they're then going to try and solve. And so these were just a few that they came up with. In this class, we actually take it further than a design firm would go. You know, normally people would be going to a design firm to come up with the idea, or with the idea, and then they would just have to solve it. We asked the girls to actually start with the problem from the beginning. So you can see they had fun with this, but what you're going to see tonight are 3 potential improvements on the Westover community. And so I think we need to switch this, but without further ado, Wise Mentoring.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ming Tao, and I'm a junior porter.
I'm Lindsay Rogers, and I'm a junior porter.
I'm Naima Mohammed, and I'm a junior porter.
And we're Wise Munching.
Okay, so when we first started off the elective, our job was to brainstorm a bunch of ideas. Altogether, we brainstormed about 60, and the top 5 that we chose were the problem with dustpans with the dirt. After you pick up the dustpan, a little line of dirt. The heating system here at Westover is very flawed. Paper jams and printers, tangles and headphones, and the Westover dining hall. And out of all of them, we chose to redesign the dining hall.
Okay, so our mission statement is, our team wants to improve the dining experience so that it is more convenient and efficient for everyone. In particular, our group focuses on the study of the structures and design of the dining hall to figure out the best solutions that could eliminate the lunch line and provide space for everyone, including the students, faculty, and all staff members. So our school archivist, Muffrey Green, sat down with us and was able to tell us about the history of the dining hall. So this is a picture of the dining hall in the 1950s. As you can see, we had long tables, and a faculty member would sit at the head of the table and serve each girl at the end. We had a lot more tipping staff, and we even at one point had a dining room committee, which was in charge of actually serving the food at Westover. And then we had placemats, and this is a picture from the 1960s, and we were able to add in a hot food area in the back. In 1968, we switched over to round tables, which encouraged more conversation. And so after we heard all the history of the dining hall, we were worried that some of them would be upset at our potentially changing what has been here for so long. But one thing that Muffy Green said that really surprised us was that I think we need to realize that times change and that Westover can't be the way it's always been. I think it needs to be contemporary up a bit, and that's what we tried to do.
We also interviewed 3 people. Mr. Ladd, who's the school's business manager, Judy Kuzowski, who is the dining hall manager, and Matthew Green, who is the school archivist. And we gathered two main difficulties. First of all, it's the L-shaped serving stations, as you can see above. The problem with this is that the stations hold off the lines, and they cause frustration when people keep moving back and forth in such a small space. The second difficulty that we have is that the dish return area is coming that small corner, and it causes a lot of traffic, as you can see during sit-down dinners and breakfast. Also, it shouldn't be seen by the customers, and also it's hard for the staff when they have to carry the dish to the sink in the back. We also asked the school about the plan for the renovation of the dining hall, and currently they don't have any definite plans yet, but they are thinking about changing the serving stations, and they're aiming for about $50,000. They also want to look into the needs of the school. As we move on to redesign this dining hall, there are certain things that we want to keep in mind. The first thing is the formal look. We want to keep it because we have many school events that are held in the dining hall, and we want to keep the traditional architecture. The second thing is that the sneak guards, which is the glass above the serving stations, we want to keep them because of sanitary reasons. And the third one is that we have a lot of permanent drains and wires inside the wall, so we have to be really careful of that when we redesign the dining hall.
Okay, so on our survey, when we sent out a survey to the entire school, out of around 200 people at the school, 140 responded. It was very good. Over on this one, the eating time, over 50% of people spend 15 minutes or more in the dining hall. Thus, showing that the dining hall is a very important part of our day. And as for the buffet bar satisfaction, it was mostly neutral, but that, as you can see there, the red, it's very, most of it was neutral, which isn't exactly the best answer. Neutral is very, well, it's neutral, so we want to make, that's not good enough for us. We want more satisfied answers. And it still means that people aren't satisfied. And as for this one, as I said before, as you can see, there's the 140 responses right there. And as you can see here, it's split, it's just about split 45 to 55. And from this, we figured that people who answered yes may know of the food committee here at Westover and may take good advantage of it, whereas some people may have the tendency to forget. At Westover, there's a food committee that's a position that students have, and they talk with Tracy Lytle, who works with the dining hall staff, about comments about food, what they like in the dining hall. And well, we just like to address the people, we still like to address the people who said no. We still want to make them happy. Some additional comments that people left in the survey, we left a space where people could leave comments after each question. And some people, one of the things that people said the most was that there were the doors in the dining hall caused a lot of problems. As you can see here, some of the adjectives
And additional comments, a lot of people did like the dining hall. People really appreciated the dining hall staff and what they did. Some people did have some sanitary concerns, and people did still feel that they didn't have enough of a voice to say what they wanted. I mean, where it says food options. And some people even wanted to change up the formal look of the dining hall. And people wanted a more spread out space in the dining hall.
So in response to the dish return area, I think along with the interviews and among the three of us, we agreed that the dish return area currently it's a chaotic space, and we agreed that no one should see the process when our dishes are handled. So we looked into different types of dish returns, and although there are many types out there, we like the stainless steel one. With the stainless steel one, it's easy to be configured to the size that you want, and also the number of racks that you want. Also, we like this because it's an organized and clean way for us to return our dishes. The second is the serving stations. We looked into different sizes and shapes, but we really like the U-shaped, which is the bottom center one, because it encouraged like a smooth flow of traffic, a smooth flow of like people traveling. We also liked how it was able to accommodate various food options, and it's also, in our research, we found that a lot of schools are using this type of serving station.
As the survey results said that they wanted more food options, I think it's a good idea to adopt napkin notes, which is an easier way and more direct way to communicate with the staff. So what you would do is that you would take a napkin and then write what you would suggest to the staff member, whether it's a comment, a feedback, or any dietary suggestions to the staff, and just post it on the wall.
And as for scheduling and spacing, a lot of people did express some frustration about where the menu is currently placed in the dining hall. And what I found from researching other boarding schools is that some of them have the menu posted online, and some of them post the menu itself in 2 or 3 different places in the dining hall when you first walk in the line, and then right when you're about to go up to the door. And as for the times, a lot of schools I've noticed have had about 1.5 to 2 hours open for lunch and dinner, and 1 hour to 1 hour and a half for breakfast. And they have one area of the dining hall that has certain types of food open, for example, cereal and fresh fruit. A lot of people liked that idea. So one of the solutions that we decided to do about the dining hall, one of our ideas, was to just take away, just forget the old dining hall and just put in an entirely new building. We thought that maybe the old dining hall could be office space, or maybe a space for presentations and meetings. And it really overall provides a clean slate to put in updated technology and have more space. And the pros of just having an entirely new building would be more space to work with, and we would still use the current building, and the dining hall would be used as office space. And the cons would be the cost of it, the time it would take to build it, and the location it would be with the current buildings that we have, and the alumni's input and opinions.
So because we like the U-shaped serving station so much, our solution was a one-sided serving stations. And in this one, you would have kitchen staff on the kitchen staff's on the inside. And then you could have different people, different flow into the, yeah. You can have a different flow from any direction to certain stations. And also you could have set utensils and plates or bowls underneath the serving station depending on what type of food your serving station was offering. So say there was a soup station, there would only be like spoons and bowls at that station. So you wouldn't pick up a fork, knife, and spoon and only use the pros of this was eliminating the chaos. It speeds up the line. It makes things easier for the staff because they wouldn't need to leave the U-shape. They can restock from the inside. But the cons would be looking for lots of space because our current dilemma now is that there wasn't enough space for students, but if we went with the one-sided, we would need to look for space for the kitchen staff and the students. The cost, and we would need more staff to be in charge of each station.
And our third solution, which we chose to be the ultimate one that we want to suggest to the school, is to knock down most of the walls. So we want to expand the dining. This is a layout of the current dining hall, and we want to knock down like this wall right here and expand it toward top side, and also this wall and these walls and the wall behind, so that we have more space and more free flow. And as you can see, the current flow right now is just kind of one flow, and right here it's problematic because people just tend to bump into each other because they're confused by the exiting and entering doors. And this is our new design. As you can see, we knocked down this wall and we have more space for tables. Here there's no walls, and this is just a big door for people, and there's no division between the two doors. And when people come to the dining hall, they can either split up and go to this way or go straight to this way. And because this wall right here was knocked down, we would move the dish return area to the back of the kitchen so that nobody could see it, and just for sanitary reasons. Yeah, so we would want to expand to where outside this hallway would be gone. One of our main problems with this solution is that when we knock down the walls, all the back of the kitchen will be revealed, and that's kind of problematic when we have formal events. That's why we came up with the idea of having screens and room dividers. There are two types that we looked into. The first type is the automatic one, and you can control with either app or a controller, and it would roll vertically or horizontally, as you can see. And the second one is just like room divider, and you can manually put it in there when needed.
So what's next after this?
I'm sorry. So the pros and cons for this project is that we would have more space, we would have more efficient layout for tables and staff and students. We would make use of the current space. We wouldn't have to look into any other space. Real dining experience and keep the original look. The cons is that we need to raise more money for it, and we have to look into timing, how much time it would take to knock down the walls and move everything around. And it could cause a lot of noise if it continued until our school year. And also it's a 100-year-old building, so we have to be really careful with it.
So, what's next after all of our research? We would have to do more. And then we would calculate the cost for materials and furniture and get feedback from experts. We would work closely and present our ideas to the school's archivist, and then finally we would our school's architects, and then we would hand our project over.
And lastly, we want to thank Ben and Jana for helping us figuring out our project. We want to thank our EDB class for all the constructive feedback. Especially we want to thank Mr. Lab, Matthew Green, and Judy for their expert insights, and the Westover community for 140 responses.
When you talked about knocking down the walls near the hallway, would it also include using the space that would be best used for classroom that continues right after lunch? It's used for Shelby's classroom. Would that also be good since it's right next to the dining hall, or?
Actually, that does not conflict with the wall expansion out there. Her classroom is actually not for a while. We probably move until those stairs. If
What provisions did you make for handicap accessibility?
Usually when we have people visiting, there are ramps that are put down in the dining hall so that people can still access. Our plan is that it's going to be very open, so there's going to be a lot of space for a lot of people. Yes, you'll go back.
If construction continues throughout the school year, what are we going to do? Where are we going to eat? If the dining hall is like really knocked out.
Our plan is to do it as quickly as possible.
So, yeah, this is a 100-year-old building, and study hall is right above it. Now, my concern is when we come in with a giant wrecking ball, no song intended, when we knock down those walls, what about study hall? Aren't you worried that's going to come and...
I am quite confident in the Westover building. That it will not cave in.
I don't know about that. And also, we in the past we expanded toward the driveway where we have the chapel driveway, and it didn't collapse. So I'm pretty confident that it wouldn't collapse.
So if you're expanding that wall over there, and you're going out to are you going to get rid of the entire walkway? So what would happen to the walking in the quad because that's getting...
Okay, we're only getting rid of about half the space. We're only moving to about the staircase in quad that goes up into the study hall. So you would still be able to walk from Shelby's classroom, and you would go up that little area on the staircase and then go back in. We find that not many people use that dining hall door.
Another thing that is nice with the walkway is I know that it's raining. It's one of the two ways to get through quad without getting rained on. And also when it's snowing, that creates less work for maintenance. They don't have to, if that's a walkway, they don't have to plow because it's covered. So it's that. Something that came up.
Yeah, we figured we may have to make a couple sacrifices along the way. has dietary needs, like a gluten-free area or a peanut, things like that, where they're connected with friends?
I think definitely because currently right now we do accommodate different people's dietary needs. So with various service stations, they would offer more. It would give more food options. So I think it would help with dietary needs even more, with having more options for them to eat instead of like the gluten-free pasta all day.
One of the things that you mentioned as a con was adding more staff. If you thought of having some type of culinary program where the students could participate instead of having to hire some staff.
No, we have not, but that is a very great idea. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on the concerns about preserving the architecture that runs the three sides of the quad, the archways? Is there any concern about aesthetics and how on two sides and then it would be cut off on a third?
So as for those arches, we do not plan to get rid of them. Our plan is to have the windows be right there. We want to keep the architecture as traditional as possible.
Last question.
What is the solution for the money problem for this project? Where do you want to find
Can you repeat your
money?
question? What's about the cost?
Where do you find money?
Oh. We're thinking donations, school budget.
The problem we chose to address is the fact that Westover does not have a pool, which limits sporting opportunities, community life, and to the number of prospective students who choose to attend Westover. We believe that adding this relationship
So the factors we would have to consider, the first one would definitely be cost, because not only would the insurance costs increase, which is actually quite significant, the cost of, we also have to keep in mind